Well, everyone, it's that time of year again. It's 80 degrees. Bike hasn't had many miles, and that battery's been sitting all winter, and it's 2 years old, and well, it's done giving up, and so time to replace it. What's going on, everyone? Dr. Octane here, aka Scotty Octane. Got about 35 years in the industry working on motorcycles, small engines, and all that sort of stuff. So today we're talking batteries. We've all been there. Go to start your bike, your lawnmower, your car, whatever, and all you hear is the clickety-clack, what the F. So basically, today's video is going to pertain more to the CFMOTO 300 motorcycles. But this information is kind of universal throughout the industry and is pretty spot on for just about any kind of bike you're working on. So with that said, basically you're going to need a few different tools. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, 8mm socket, a 5mm hex bit, and possibly a 10mm socket. But definitely need that Phillips screwdriver. On the 300 NK and the 300 SS, both of them, you have a 5mm bolt behind the seat flap here. Obviously, I got 8mm bolts, and mine's been on and off so many damn times, and nuts are broken off and all that good stuff. But essentially, what you really want to be after is battery voltage. And if you have a battery tender, they make these nice little USB ports. It's got a USB-C and a regular USB port. It turns on and off, but it's a good way to read your voltage at a glance without you know, having to get out a voltmeter or switch your display over to voltage and all that stuff. Now, as you can see right now, we're at 12.6 volts with the ignition off. Now you would think, oh, 12.5 volts, yeah, that's plenty to turn the bike over. Well, when you turn the ignition on, you see it immediately drops a few tenths of voltage. But now watch what happens when I go to crank. It's down to almost 10 volts. And that is not enough voltage to turn on the ECM to provide proper spark, and you're just going to crank and crank and crank, and it's not going to actually start because the ignition system is not actually on and operating. So let's get to changing over the batteries, and we'll show you how to do that right now. So I decided to go with the EBL lithium battery this time. I've currently been running Drag Specialties and O'Reilly batteries, GTX, YTX, 7LBS. So they seem to fit well. They got good cranking amperage, and they're a little bit lighter than stock, but they still, it's just not the greatest battery. Now, EBL's got a great online reputation. They are a Chinese company, but they do make really solid quality products. This particular one, oh, I don't know, it's just a universal box, I guess. But you open it up here, and all in all, this battery only weighs just under 2 pounds. That's the actual model number there. So it's kind of like a universal battery, but this essentially replaces the YTX9, the YTX 12BS, YTX 14BS, and so on. So as you see here, it's got plenty of cranking amps, 7 amp hours, 84 watt hours, and 420 cranking amps, which is a lot of juice, which is going to be more than enough for these 300s. Now, the other advantage is they have solid copper terminals, and you can basically mount your battery cables just about any position you want to. And the battery bolts that come with it are stainless steel and have Loctite pre-applied to them, so you don't have to worry about them loosening up and stuff. So the other really nice advantage, is that we do have the battery health button here. I have not charged this, but it seems to be right around 90% at full capacity. So really no need to charge it. We should be able to just bolt this in and it should just fire right up with plenty of juice. So now basically the battery install is pretty straightforward. You got your battery strap here, which is just a Phillips screw. So you pull that screw out, and most battery cables are going to have a Phillips slash 8mm screw. Sometimes they're 10mm. I personally run regular hex bolts with a flange head. For me, it just makes them easier removing them and installing them particularly. So always start with your negative first. Remove your positive. Get your old battery out of there. Here's another common symptom from having the battery, removing the terminals and stuff. You see that positive terminal is actually broken, so that's probably not helping with the cranking at all, and something to kind of look forward. And again, on that, the new EBL battery, they have the solid copper terminals, and you're not going to run into that issue. So I haven't officially test fit this yet. I'm thinking it's going to go right in. Got a couple nuts and stuff in here. And look at that. It is an exact fit. In fact, that is the best fitting battery I have ever installed one of these. I've done the YTX9 BS, I've done the YTX12 BS, I've done the YTX7L BS, and this is by far the most accurate and closest to the factory battery I've seen so far. So if you're an idiot like I am and you hook up the terminals backwards, fuse panel is right here underneath that spacer between the seat and your rear cowl. It does come with a spare 30 amp fuse, which I conveniently already blew once before. I just robbed this one out of my project car, so it's just basically a 30 amp square fuse. Put that back on, get this sneaked back into place. Now let's try this again. Positive is on this side, so we need to switch our cables back. And my Allen screw, or my flange head bolts were a little too long, and are not going to be compatible, so we will be using the bolts that come with it. Again, this is going to be positive cables first, with your main cable closest to the battery and your accessories on top. I use Phillips to start, torque with the tool, make sure it's tight. Now it's tight. And then we're going to do our grounds. I have one ground for the battery tender, one ground for my dashboard, and then the main ground. Again, you're going to want to do the battery end, battery cable first, and then your accessories. Sometimes not always easy getting these bolts started, as you can see. Once you get everything out of your way and lined up, it's not so bad. So once again, start it by hand. Gonna torque it. Check the cables, make sure they don't wiggle, and they do not. Gonna put our battery strap back down into place. Kind of get it to where it wants to sit in place. And just kind of hold it there till you get the screw started. Whoop. So we have our battery installed and the seat back on. And now if we go over to our battery tender, we're actually 13.4 volts with ignition off at idle. So I have a feeling this is going to fire right up now. That's basically how you replace the battery on a CFMOTO 300 SS 300 NK. I'm not entirely sure about the 2025s or 2026s. From what I hear, they're pretty similar and haven't really changed much, at least on the NK they haven't. But that's how you do it. As you can see before, it cranked and cranked slowly and would not fire whatsoever. Put that new battery in and it started on half of a crank. So that's the difference between your bike running properly with a bad battery that it's on its way out essentially, and a brand new battery that's a quality brand known battery that you know you're going to get years of good results. I will provide the link for this battery in the description so you guys can find it on Amazon. But obviously I just installed it and we'll see how the longevity is, but initial feedback is wow, awesome, I'm happy. So keep the rubber side down, guys, and we will see you next time. Peace.